Welcome, everyone, to another Imposter Game stream.
That's right. Good morning, everyone. Just as there's breakfast at Wimbledon this weekend, there's breakfast in Imposter King Stadium. They do strawberries and cream. Sinbu, what do we do at Imposter King Stadium?
Usually I get a seltzer, but I think we forgot that step this time around. The classic seltzer.
Yes, well, we can make that seltzer happen. Nothing like seltzer for breakfast. Nothing quite like Imposter Kings for breakfast.
That's right.
We're taking a jaunt down to the lower bracket this time around. We've got a pair of lower bracket matches this weekend, starting with a very intriguing match this morning. Simbu, want to take us into it?
Yeah, we have Yedi, who's a well-known established member of the community, has won a couple tournaments himself, has started since the beta and joined us, has essentially loved every single part of Imposter King except for the Elder. That's his signature thing, is to use one and then give the useless one over to the opponent using the princess. Versus Laziness. Laziness is coming to us brand new, and I believe that his profile picture actually is the Oracle from the Kickstart exclusive. Shout out to the artwork there. We don't know much about Laziness other than the fact that he was able to trounce his way all the way up top to his group in order to make it to the lower brackets.
That's what we know about Laziness, is they are a formidable player. They played their group stages extremely well to get into this tournament. And, being a player with less of a known background could be an advantage here, because tendencies and traits are important for guessing what your opponent is up to.
And that's right. I mean, Laziness played against a couple of known entities and was able to win. I'm not sure if Yeti's done his homework to see what kind of player Laziness is, but we'll see today.
I guess we will.
Yeah. So it's going to be pretty exciting. So
all right, and before we go in, just for everyone to know, it's an action-packed weekend of Imposter Kings. We have this match happening right now at 10 a.m. Pacific time. We have another lower bracket match tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Yours truly is in that one. And then tomorrow evening at 8:30 p.m. Pacific, I believe.
That's right.
At 8:30 Pacific tomorrow night is the upper bracket semifinals. The winner of that match goes to the finals of this tournament.
That's going to be Goose and the Kid, who both have played crazy games, but completely different styles too.
So that is quite the culmination of an exciting weekend of Imposter Kings. Hopefully you catch all three matches, and tomorrow night it's going to be one ham-dinger. But before we get ahead of ourselves, we've got ourselves a heck of a great match this morning. And, we're going to go pop over to Imposter King Stadium and chat a little bit about what we see.
That's right. We're just making sure that both players are ready to go. We had a bit of a delay this morning trying to search for a player.
We're all set now, and, we're going to step into the stadium. It'll be interesting, again, how to see things shake out when you have one player who maybe isn't fully familiar in terms of those tendencies. These first few hands can be pretty wild for things like especially Inquisitor guesses, Soldier guesses, Judge guesses, and all those things that depend on knowing your opponent.
That's right. So let's go head on over and see what their first hands look like. All right. So looking here, oh my goodness me. We have Yedi with the True King. And what a hand. Actually, walk us through that. That's a pretty powerful start.
That is a power hand. So Yedi with both royalty. Yedi with the 6-1 Oathbound Fool combo. Yedi with the Mystic. There's a lot of strength in that hand. No King's hand available. One of the Inquisitors is unavailable. If you're Yedi, of course you don't know one of the Inquisitors is not in play, but you've got to look at this and think, I'm in a strong position.
And he's going fast. He quickly decided to go first, threw away his Fool, threw away his Soldier. Wondering if that's part of his strategy is to, I have a good hand. I might as well just start playing hard real fast, showing Laziness that he's ready to go. Laziness is electing to play this hand, which is very difficult for him to win. He's putting away the successor as the assassin as the successor. We'll see if that works out for him here.
Yeah, interesting. Yedi clearly is going to take a strategy of just bludgeoning with high numbers, throwing away the Fool.
He's going to start with an Oathbound, do you think?
I think it's likely, yeah. Knowing you have both Oathbounds, what you're trying to do is you're trying to fish out the Sentry. And right now...
Not really a response to that other than maybe pulling that.
Yeah, I mean, there's basically...
And he threw away the Fool, so, I mean, we obviously know way more than Laziness knows, but he doesn't even have a full counter to that Sentry play.
Laziness only has two valid plays. He can either play the Sentry or flip his King. Now, you hide the Assassin from a lead-off Inquisit, Yeti didn't do a leadoff Inquisit, so it might not be a bad opportunity to flip your king here.
I love this, actually. So the randomly discarded card is the Inquisitor here, but of course they don't know that. I think actually as Laziness, you do maybe take the swap here and grab the Oathbound and then go into an Oathbound Judge and just try to outlast this big hand, right?
That is very possible move. So Laziness pondering this, and this is, again, the kind of turn it's going to take a little bit where the player's going to want to use extra time, because this is, if you're Laziness right now, you're thinking, can I get out of this without a 3-point loss?
Right.
And most likely this opening play is going to determine what direction this hand goes in.
Right. So, oh man. Yeah, as I mentioned, I think the Sentry swap is the right play right now because an Oathbound is super valuable if you're behind like this.
That's right. So we'll see. There's
no
the Sentry,
ability,
but just played it as an 8.
Okay, so he wants them to play the Royalty essentially.
He's gonna try to get one of the Royalty with that Sentry play, knowing there's no King's Hand to play on it. So,
yeah.
And now if you're Yeti, you do have to worry about the Assassin a little bit.
You sure do. Yeah. You don't want to flip on this. He's going for a 3-point hand clearly. The question is. Oh, there we go. So now Yeti has the ability to now throw down the old Warlord for a 9-pointer as well. It doesn't matter. None of these cards are high enough to actually, the big problem is that Laziness decided to also throw away his other Elder. Yeti doesn't know this, but that means that if Laziness flips here, that's a wham bam good day ma'am. Yeah.
Now playing the Warlord is still susceptible to the Zealot.
Correct.
So it's not game over if the Warlord gets deployed here. But yes, if you're Laziness, you have both royally unaccounted for. If you throw away one of the Elders, you have no Oathbounds. You know you have to use your other Elder and a King flip on the 2 Royalty you may see.
Yes, sir. Wow. This is going to be a tough battle for Laziness. And we saw a couple of these types of hands with the Kid game. The Kid having ridiculous amount of experience to be able to navigate this. This is going to take one of those more, fine-tuned navigation. I think Yeti's starting to realize, hey, this person is got a low-value hand, and I can execute on the squeeze.
Yeah, so right there, that's a very smart play. Played the Oathbound, and yet Laziness only has one play. He has 2 plays. He can either play the Zealot or do King.
Can't play the Zealot. He has to flip because the Zealot requires the King to be flipped.
Oh, that's right. So he has to do a King flip. And
now the wrong thing to do as Yeti right now is to take the passive route and play the Mystic and hit all 3s. And the reason is because by doing that, you've now enabled Laziness to go ahead and start playing some of his more ability cards, aka the Judge, into an Inquisitor, into a Zealot. Like you don't want to do that.
Yeah,
but he just goes for it and he realizes, hey, you know what? If he doesn't have a response to this, I'm just gonna win. And there you go. He's got 3 points.
That's right. So a brutal hand there. Yeti saw the advantage, pressed it. The squeeze worked superbly there. And Laziness tried to wriggle out, but just could not buy enough time to at least chip one of the points off the score.
That's right. I mean, I think right here is where it's tough because Laziness could bluff that he was not going to keep the assassin, keep the Elder there. But even in this situation, playing the Princess is a good idea. You force out the other Elder, and then you have a pair of 7s to kind of prevent him from ever using those lower value cards. So,
Simba, would you have mulliganed that?
You know me, I don't like the mulligan.
Never mulligan, yeah.
And that one, I would at least try to make it a 2-point hand, and I think picking up that Oathbound would have really helped.
Yep.
So now we've got Laziness as a true king. They are gauging what's going on. It looks like there is a Mystic out and a Soldier is kind of removed. So both players kind of have an idea of what each other have. You got a 7 and 9. You got a 9 here, but a pair of 8s, and you know how I feel about those.
Yeah, so, in this hand, if you're Laziness, it will play, but I think Yeti, again, has a slightly stronger hand this time. Laziness does have True King. That's substantial here. If you're Laziness, you have to be very cognizant of the Assassin, because you really only have one counterplay for the Assassin in your hand. That's the Inquisitor. So you have to be very careful about it. I would suspect they might lead off. They might try to go right for it. This is where player tendencies And knowledge is important to know if Yedi might try to hide the assassin or not in terms of
What do
the
you
first
think?
play is.
You got a king's hand, so that gives you another turn of fresh air if you're trying to go for the assassin. Do you think he keeps it? Do you think he throws it? Do you think he successors it? What do you think?
It's an excellent question. I think if you're Yedi, especially having the king's hand in hand, I'd be tempted not to throw it. I would be tempted to hold on to it. See if Laziness tries to go right for it. You can always king's hand it. And I think even if you do king's hand it, even though that does draw some of the strength out of your hand, I still think you can win, even having conceded that initiative. At that point, again, we know things that the players don't. Laziness is in real trouble because they have no other countermeasures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, boy, that would have been really nice to have that Mystic. So
yes,
unfortunately, she's been imprisoned, accused, if you will, for
J'accuse,
yes, because of her nefarious deeds.
So here's a question for the lore of Imposter King Simbu: who's doing the imprisoning in this circumstance?
Well, if you play the 3-4 player version, you know that there was a warden who puts them away. But after the first assassination, the first appearance of the imposters themselves, a lot of accusations are thrown around, and unfortunately, someone's going to have to be the scapegoat. In this case, it was the old Mystic.
Now, here's a fascinating thing: Yedi successored their Inquisitor, so they're going to keep the assassin in their hand. Laziness did the conservative play, kept the Zealot as the successor, traditional play, and threw away one of the elders, the only elder that they had. So now the question is. Yep, went right for the assassin. Now will Yedi King's hand it?
That's an interesting question.
No,
interesting. He has that sentry pickup, but I think, if you're Laziness, you push the advantage here.
So now you can play the judge potentially.
Again, but you open that up to a free sentry when you use the judge, because then they're forced to play a card. You can, without impunity, play any of your ability cards.
That is true.
It's really good design.
If you're Yedi, you would excellent design by whoever designed this game. And yeah, if you're Yedi, you'd trade that soldier for that assassin immediately. If you're Yedi,
that king's hand is a real trouble.
Yeah,
real troublesome
having
card.
the king's hand is going to cause a lot of trouble. If you're Laziness, so
do you flip? Can't flip, can you? To get rid of the assassin?
I think you've got to preserve your king flip. And I would be tempted here. So looking at the options, if you play your Warlord just as a 7, you are going to prompt a potential beefy play. You're maybe hoping you can fish out something significant. You do have the Fool around. And so if you don't prompt the sentry via judge, and they do the sentry play to pick it back up anyway, you can Fool to pick up something useful, maybe even an Inquisitor that might allow you to get that assassin later. Although with the number structure of this hand, you might not have an opportunity to play it.
The problem is Laziness doesn't want to flip, but he kind of needs to in order to not get cornered by the assassin. Even though she's in court, even though she's been accused and pulled out, this is a tough situation. I think Laziness is rightfully taking a little bit of time here to kind of suss out what to do.
Now, one other weapon, if the king's hand has not been deployed yet, is Laziness does have the princess. And if things get lean in terms of what each player has in their hand, Laziness might be able to pull a powerful card with a princess swap at the right time.
That's right. So, yep. Boy, this is just, I'm trying to think of different lines. I mean, so of course, one thing we didn't talk about that most players will recognize is that there is a 6-1 swap.
So they went right for the princess with no ability to Laziness.
He wants him to force him to either use there's an elder. I was going to say, maybe he's been studying Yedi and realizing that Yedi doesn't like elders, but in this case, he kept one. But if he didn't, it would either have to be a king flip or a queen play, and a queen play would also get rid of that assassin too.
That's true. Queen play would get rid of the assassin.
Yeti's just got a lot of answers for this, though, which is, rare when you play a 9.
That's right, yeah. So it's intriguing. So with the princess play, Yedi, I'm sure, looking at options about whether to deploy the elder or not. Now, deploying the elder means Laziness still has initiative. You still run the risk, if you use the judge at that point, of running right into that sentry play. But on the other hand now, you have the princess still floating out there. Could there be an opportunity to pick it back up, potentially?
I think so, but the issue, the one thing we always discount is the queen, right? Queen disgracing all the other cards in court really hurts your 6-1 combo if he gets it out at the right time.
That's right, if he gets it out at the right time.
Right.
But, it really depends on what Yeti's play is after you use your judge into whatever you're coming up with next.
The juge.
So, Yeti looking at this very carefully.
Yeah.
And could be a lot of, again, Yeti right now has 3 valid plays. Gesundheit on the princess.
Goodness. That's a princess allergy for me.
Yeah. So Yeti can play the queen. Yeti can play the elder. Yeti can king flip. And so, again, playing a queen wipes the pile. And...
I guess let's just go to what would you do?
I think, as we've been talking about here, an elder play is exceptionally strong to set up that century pickup of the assassin later.
Yeah.
Why keep, when you have the queen in your hand, why keep the elder instead of burning it? He burned an Oathbound, yet he did. Why keep the elder if not for this moment right now?
Yeah, there's no reason to hold on to it, I guess, because then at this point, you still have a 9-8-8 in your hand, and you might be able to go for another 3-pointer.
Exactly right. So I've got to think that the elder is the play here, but I think Yeti is trying to go through every permutation in the hand to see if there's something they're overlooking. They did do the elder.
Okay, interesting. Let's see if that works out for him in the long run.
Okay, so elder to laziness.
If he plays that warlord again, he still has 2 options. He's got the queen, who can still overstep the warlord who tried to overstep her bounds, or can flip the king.
That's right. And so the warlord will get buffed because the princess has emerged.
The one relief of the king flip, obviously, is that it's not a 3-point hand anymore. I think Yeti's assessing. The reason why he was taking so long is he was assessing whether he can get 3 points.
Exactly, yeah, because Yeti knows they're in it. They definitely are in an advantageous position right now. At a time where you think, can I get 3 out of this? Can I get greedy without worrying maybe of losing this hand? If you look at what Laziness and Yeti have, do you think that Laziness has any path to victory here?
I'm thinking mitigation. This we get a terrible 3-point hand, and that would be a 6-0 start, and that's never something fun to play against.
Yeah, getting 6-0'd in 2 hands is a nightmare start. Laziness does still have his mulligan, so you at least have that saving grace that you can at least make sure that you've got some good hand to fight back with from that pit.
Yeah.
But yeah, given the hand situation right now, their only path to victory is with a superbly timed fool play if Yeti leaves that door open.
Yeah.
Anything else, I think, is strictly a mitigation circumstance.
Yeah, and I have to agree with some of the chat here where it is super greedy to go for 3 points, but there is something to say about the psychological meta of the game, which is if you can get that 3-point and you stretch for it and you're able to actually be able to secure it, that's going to be pretty hard to come back from.
That's right. To the point about it being greedy, though, so thinking of the meta of the hand. The
here
judge.
We go.
Yep.
Here's the judge. He's going to hit that if Yeti lets him, which I think Yeti should. You want to save that 8, meaning he could king's hand it.
So correct guess on the judge, guessing queen. So Laziest knows the queen is in Yeti's hand. And
is he going to put something in his antechamber, right? Like, it's tough. So Yeti, once again, has the right cards in hand. He's got a soldier who could just be played, or you could use that sentry to get that assassin back, and then Laziness has no response to that.
It's true. You don't have to put a card in your antechamber if you get a judge guess right. Now, to the earlier point about it being greedy to go for 3, again, it's a race to 7, and the majority of hands tend to be 2-point victories.
Correct.
So the difference between 5 and 6 is not huge. And so there is a question about whether it's worth stretching to try to get that extra point.
Yeah.
Yeti in this situation, I think, has a strong enough situation where you can get. It's not that greedy to go for that extra point.
Yeah, at this point, I think if you can sentry into the assassin, maybe exchange your. It depends on what he puts in the antechamber, of course, but knowing that, then you have. I think you have enough tempo in order to secure a victory there. The only thing you'd have to worry about is, of course, the 6-1, the OB sneak, as everyone calls it. But maybe not realizing that. You don't know. We all know that Laziness put a elder away, but that queen is very potent if you have an assassin.
Well, that's exactly right. Yeah, so this is a tough situation. Laziness really pondering what to do here. It's easy to forget. This is one of the things that's nice about this client, the play.imposterkings.com client, is that it is very in your face about what your options are. So oftentimes if you're playing tabletop Imposter Kings with, say, a nice shiny set purchased from MinMax Games, available now for $29.99, it's easy to forget that you don't have to play not a successor, but an antechamber card on a correct judge guess. But the client puts that right in front of you as a button.
And he decided to put the Warlord in. So this is where I'm thinking you strike as... Yeah, this is really tough. So here's what you do. You play the sentry, you grab the assassin for the soldier, then he plays his 9, you play your queen, it blanks out the board. He has to Oathbound into Fool and grab his Oathbound. You play your king's hand, and then he's done.
That's right. So there's a sentry with ability.
Oh, here it is. Is he doing it? He's got to do it, right?
There it is. The soldier for the assassin.
All right. Let me just make sure I'm not on Discord, that he can't hear me. Cause he's, just kidding.
It's hard to deny that.
I'm kidding. Of course, he's played this game enough that he knows all these lines quite well. And this is really tough for Laziness. He now knows that he's in trouble. Yeah, there's no way to get out of this. This is going to be a 3-point hand. And we're going to go 6-0.
Yeah, it really is. He's dead on arrival here. Even if he does 6-1, there's nothing to pick up. You can pick up your Oathbound back. Not that does you much good in this circumstance.
Yep. Here he goes. This is his only play. He's noticing his options here.
Yeah, it's never fun in this game when you've got that dead man walking feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Now, granted... Laziness doesn't know what the face down burn card is. It could be exactly the thing you need to get out of the situation. It has happened before. I think every player has had that delighted moment. It's just not the case this time.
Really hoping that it's a soldier, but it's not.
Yeah.
And there we go.
Yeah.
And Laziness is now forced to flip, and that's a 3-point game.
Oh, boy. Now, Sinbu, one thing that's not in this client, the Assassin Twirl.
Oh, I know. Okay, we're working on it. That's
just put that on in Jira about what's coming up.
That's also there is actually a suggestions board in the Discord itself if you want to put that in. I think it's already in there. But with the other client, you're able to spin things in your hand, and people used to badmannerly spin the assassin. Don't look at me like I ever do it. I think the point of the game that it comes down to is just this right here. He has to put down the right sequence of cards in order to force a 2-point or even a 1-point hand. Yeah. By playing this judge, he's allowing this swap.
Well, I think it goes even one step earlier to the princess play that early. I think if there's any moment to try to spring this hand from a 3-point loss, it was a different play on the assassin. You really had to save the princess for later in the hand. I think at this point, a warlord or even just playing the judge as a 5 and getting information, as they ended up doing later in the hand, was the way to go there.
I mean, it's tough because you don't think that maybe he has the elder, and then you're now forcing a function here. You're forcing a flip or you're forcing the queen. Get it out early, then you have some momentum. But I think the princess maybe here is just unfortunate. Queen, elder, flip, so many options. Yep. And Yedi went with the greedy one. And then we go here, and this judge allowed for that play. I think that's just through experience, leaving the assassin face up when they might have a sentry. Danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, so. it was dead man walking at that point. All right.
This could be the potential final game here. We've got, and so Yedi just needs 1 point to win the entire match.
Needs 1 point to win, but Laziness has some tools in their hand here. And again, the True King, the option to pick who goes first. And, granted, no assassin, no fool. Both of those in Yedi's hand. Of course, we know that. Laziness doesn't. But you look at this and think, I've got stuff to work with here. My first 2 hands are pretty weak. I was definitely playing from behind from hand structure. But here I think Laziness might even have the stronger hand.
Oh, man, this is a tough one still. I mean, obviously King's Hand is a very important card, but so is the Mystic. You've got queen, but the princess is often to be stronger, especially if you're going first. You have an option for the judge into inquisitor or the battery, which is the judge into soldier. So you can really be flexible with this hand. I think there's a lot of options that he can go, and it just depends on what he thinks.
Yeah, I mean, again, that Inquisitor play, I think, will be the thing that determines how this hand goes. Again,
we've seen that so many times in this tournament.
Yeah, you look at that hand and you think Judge and the Inquisitor is the way to go. Bleed out a strong card of their hand by playing the Judge first, and then Inquisit the thing you want. And picking the right thing there will unlatch this. Now, granted, Yeti's in an interesting position because he has the Fool, but he has no Oathbound to pair it with. Has the Assassin.
Well, he doesn't know that, by the way. Lazy also doesn't realize that the Oathbound is discarded here. So he might think that there's going to be a 6-1 potential on the other side. We know that Yedi has thrown away the Fool before. I wonder if he's thinking about it again,
right?
Especially since he has the Assassin too.
Right, because that's what I'm thinking. If I'm Yedi and I'm looking at this, I have the Fool. I don't have an Oathbound to pair it with.
I think you toss the Assassin, right? Because you only need 1 point to win. You don't need to go for a bigger win. You can threaten it, even though you don't have it.
Yeah.
Although they have the king's hands, but
yeah, I think actually I tossed the Fool because
you tossed the Fool.
I don't have a hand that I also have a queen, which I'm going to have to use at the right time.
Oh yes, oil and water is what Goose calls it.
Yeah, so I just don't think I have a hand that complements the Fool very well. I think I would toss that and keep the Assassin around.
As much as I hate to say it, I think you're right. There he goes.
There it is. Yeah.
Wait, let me check to see if we're on the Discord. All right, so quick Fool Assassin put away. Looks like he's going to flip early, potentially, maybe trying to get a good hit on... he knows that Laziness has asked for the Assassin in the past. He can also do a safety Assassin check with the Judge. Yeti does have a counterplay with the Soldier there.
That's right. What would be devastating is for Laziness to do Judge into Inquisitor now and then go for the Assassin. That would probably be the end of the game, would be my guess.
Yeah. So Laziness now throwing away the Oathbound. Ooh. I guess that makes sense because the Oathbound could be used to help you get a 1 point hand, and in this case, or 1 point loss, and in this case, anything. Now he's got to win.
Yeah, having the Soldier trying to boost it to a 7 is probably worth more, especially because Laziness doesn't know that Yeti tossed the Fool, and the Soldier can be a very good Fool countermeasure. Yeah.
In this case, I mean, it's tough because with Laziness, you have to have a winning play. You can either risk it right now by asking for the Assassin off the rip, and if so, it's really bad for him because he successored it. But most people don't when they have the King's Hand. Yeah. But that's still a 2. There it is. Oof.
Wow, went right for it and missed.
I think this is really bad because now he's getting the counter Inquisit.
So if you're Yeti, do you just flip now?
You counter Inquisit this and then you flip. You hit his princess. You hit his King's hand.
Right.
Kid has hit his King's hand. He's dead to rights.
That's right. I mean, yeah, pull the King's hand. Either you King's handed. Either case, the King's hand's out of the game, and there it is. Yep. That's exactly the right.
And then now I'm Yeti. I flip. I'm sitting good.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, this is devastating. This is what we're talking about with the Inquisitor. One bad Inquisitor call, and it could be your entire tournament.
Your hash is settled at that point. So. Laziness is considering...
Shout out to Hash for making the tabletop client.
That's right, it is. Thank you very much, Hash, for that. Laziness, I think, just pondering about whether it's better to King's Hand, the call out of the King's Hand, versus to just play it. I don't think that is material, knowing what we know, where they are. Because just having the King's Hand out of the game is really the meaningful thing that Yeti wants.
Yes, sir. I think this is, I guess he's debating whether he should King's Hand it or not. Regardless, it's going to be out of the game. And at that point, I don't think there's much that Laziness can do here.
Yeah, oftentimes players will take a long turn because it's the pivotal hand in the game.
He does react with it. He's like, I don't want even to pick it up with the Sentry. It's not going to matter. You can either potentially, in this case, you flip, I think. You know why? Because if you do the Soldier, then they can flip, and then you miss your Assassin chance. But I don't think it matters, really.
Yeah, Laziness is still very much in a weaker position.
There's no cards that he can use in order to pick up or get rid of the Assassin, except for the Princess, and that's not going to happen if he flips.
Yeah.
So I think the calculus here for Yeti, assuming he's not going to be greedy here.
Well, yeah,
overkill.
Yeah, Yeti most likely will play conservatively. Again, sometimes you take a long turn because it's the pivotal turn of the game. Sometimes you take a long turn because you're staring at a train that's coming down the tunnel and you can't get out of the tunnel, and you start to ponder what life's going to look like after the train hits you.
The thing that's the worst part about it is Yeti also knows where the fool is. Even just discarding it, that knowledge is he has no fear. There's nothing here to stop him from flipping and winning the game. Even Oathbounds would not be able to stop the train, as you mentioned.
So Yeti went and did the play.
Interesting. He went with the soldier here. I'm not sure if I like that, just because of what we were talking about, where he had a clear path. There might be something I'm missing here with, again, we have clairvoyance, but
yeah, well, it is intriguing, right? So it might just be a very conservative play because there's a little bit of risk in using your king flip cheaply. I'm finger quoting that, obviously. So I think that's more Yeti just thinking, I think I have a stronger hand overall. Instead of taking a slightly riskier option to go for the kill right now, I'm just going to let this develop a bit and put the squeeze. Now, that might be the wrong thing. Fortune favors the bold in this game, typically. But I think that's what's happening there.
It's really true, actually. Like, I feel like you really have to always go hard out. And when people are pressed against the wall on a 6-0, you get to see some of the best plays, which are, flipping on a unsafe assassin. You don't know where the assassin is. You don't have a king's hand. In this case, I think playing conservatively, can Laziness claws way back in. I mean, anything he does is just 9-8-7. It's a real tough position, and I think he's now calculating all the different varieties here. He can think, if I flip now, prevent the assassin from hitting. I know he doesn't have the assassin. Also prevent the fool from being able to pick anything up. So.
Yeah.
I would be hard-pressed for me to think that he doesn't just flip here, but then he's susceptible to more attacks from high numbers.
Yeah. I mean, one thing about this, just to hit the chat up a little bit, chat pointed out, Lazy asking for assassin off the rip would be so bad here. I mean, we're living it right now. It's a great call out in the chat about how bad that would be. Laziness did the flip there, so he ran right into the risk that you mentioned. Which is now the assassin is no longer in the mix. It was the right play. If you're Yeti now, you're thinking, okay, I think I did make a mistake there.
He still has a path, again, because we have clairvoyance, it's a lot easier. He does have a path to just try to squeeze it out. Okay, so he uses the Mystic on the 3s. Interesting. He hits his own card with that. And there's also the one that's thrown away. So he's thinking Laziness only has one. The only issue with this is he's now discounting the old princess. And I think maybe he's thinking the princess is going to force a swap and he can swap away his useless card.
3, 4. I mean, Laziness would probably toss their own. It would be an uneventful swap. I am really intrigued by that Mystic play. Intrigued is maybe different, where I think confounded is more where I am to Mystic the 3s there. Usually that's when you have the other player completely in the bag if you can get rid of their worldly countermeasure.
Well, as the kids say, let him cook. Maybe he's got a little special plan cooked up here.
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, it's just fascinating because, the princess is unaccounted for, yet he has to assume there's a very good likelihood that Laziness has it.
Maybe I think what he's trying to do is he realizes if he plays a sentry without the ability, Laziness is forced to play his princess, and then at that point he can finish him off with the queen.
Yeah, as a card tracking line, that is true.
But he has no idea where the Oathbounds are.
That's right.
So I mean, the chat also was like, maybe the 6s. Do you Mystic 6s? Again, I think that he could have probably squeezed this with the assassin way earlier. We'll go back to the old replay in just a second here, but the line here now is really muddled, where instead of going for a kind of a clean assassin play or a clean squeeze play, now he's playing around the numbers a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. And again, as is pointed out in the chat by a former True King of the Cross Kings tournament, Laziness has got to be just kicking themselves about throwing an Oathbound out, because having an Oathbound instead of that soldier right now would change the calculus of this hand quite a bit.
And the one other thing that Yeti might be accounting for is, he hits a successful judge. We're probably going to see a battery here, I can only presume, which is a judge into soldier, very powerful combo. But going first Oh, he is going to throw away because you think he's going to use the princess, so I thought he was going to use that to throw away the useless elder. But laziness is going first, and maybe part of the calculus that Yedi is thinking about is I only need a 1-point hand, and if as long as I can go head to head with him, I'm going to win as well.
Yeah, again, this has been, I think, from Yedi, the whole game has been played with that in mind. That I'm just going to draw this out. I think generally I have the stronger hand. And as someone who's done that and been bitten by it, oftentimes, again, that doesn't work, and you just wish you'd gone for it when you had a chance.
Now he has that same line I was talking about. If he plays the sentry, no ability, he doesn't. He goes with the conservative play again. Again, he is just trying to wear laziness out. Laziness actually has a way to victory now.
Potentially. So just figuring the math. So of the 3 plays, he could play Warlord here. He wants the princess swap. I mean, it's all about timing the princess swap.
He can't do the princess swap because of the assassin. Like he'll get an assassin that's useless.
That's right. Yeah.
So whoever gets the assassin is going to lose. And so Yedi can make a mistake here, and that would make it so laziness wins. But it's all up to Yedi to make a mistake here. This is an unforced error situation if we're talking Wimbledon rules.
Right. Well, but it's interesting, right? Again, we have information that they don't. Yedi does not know that laziness doesn't have an Oathbound in their hand.
Right, which is why that sentry line wouldn't be something that you immediately go for, because if they have an Oathbound, then they can play around that a little bit.
As a matter of fact, since Yedi drew neither Oathbound, I think Yedi is convinced that laziness has an Oathbound in their hand, because what are the likelihood that laziness would have had to have burned one?
Do you think he meant to say 6 instead of 3? He had one in his hand too. I feel like, and he sees one face up. I feel like it had to have been a misclick.
Perhaps, yeah.
But we'll see. We'll talk to him post game. This is a curious hand.
Because again, if you're Yedi, if you pull neither Oathbound, you assume your opponent has at least one.
Correct.
Oathbound's unusual to burn, and even if it's a face down burn.
And look at this. He's playing soldier with no ability, assuming that maybe Yedi has an Oathbound. Because the Oathbound only activates if the soldier is.
That's right.
So now he's saying, hey, you've got to play your Oathbound if you got it. Here's a sentry. So at this point, laziness has to play his princess. And
that will be the end of it.
And that will be the end of it. So we've finally gotten to the end of the evaluation. The bar's swinging over to Yedi, and this is going to be all she wrote.
What a strange hand.
That was very strange.
This is an exceptionally strange hand. I'm really excited to talk with our players about what their mindset was going in, what they thought their opponent had, because there's some really odd plays. Ultimately, the outcome is what we anticipated. It'll be Yedi winning both the hand and the match, but the road to get there was had many more twists and turns than I think we anticipated at the beginning.
Yeah. And we're seeing the swap. He's going to give him the old assassin and let him know I had it.
Yeah, there you go. And that's it. And it's an 8-love conclusion to this first lower bracket match. Yeti sweeping laziness 8-0 in 3 hands, but 3 very interesting, well-played hands. And I can't wait to talk more about it.
Yeah, I mean, that was a tough one there, and I think going back to it, there was quite a lot of different victory paths for Yedi, and he played it very conservatively, which, as I mentioned, could be dangerous, but in this case, it worked out. And it's probably a hand that both of them are going to stare at post-game.
Right, I mean, when laziness went right for the assassin and missed.
Right.
That should have been it. Should have been it right there.
Right.
And if I'm Yedi, I'm going to look back at that hand and think, because I went conservative, I might have let laziness wriggle off the hook. And Yedi almost did let laziness wriggle off the hook there.
Well, we'll see if Yedi remembers that and or has a feeling about that. I'm sure he does. He'll probably have some thoughts about it. We're gonna go ahead and see if we can get laziness and Yedi to do a post game chat. Let's see if laziness is available. If not, I know time zone wise, this might be a little bit late for him. So we'll figure it out. And then in the meantime, I wanted to just say that this is our first game elimination match. And it's a bummer to see laziness leave this early. But I think Yedi played a fantastic hand. and has a real shot at maybe unseating one of these giants that we have coming down from the upper bracket.
Yeah, Yedi very much has an opportunity to come through the lower bracket. Now, as I've joked about before, being in the lower bracket, the road out of the lower bracket is long. You have to win 4 matches to get into the finals, whereas 3, or actually, is it 4 or 5? No, it's 4. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 4 before you get to the finals. No, yeah, 4. So you have to win 1, 2, 3, and then you're in the finals. So 4 matches to win the whole thing.
You got to get 4 matches to get to the finals.
And the people you're playing against are coming from the upper bracket.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas in the upper bracket, you only have to win 2 matches to get to the finals. So your road becomes very long if you start in the lower bracket. Yedi could do it. There is no doubt in my mind that Yedi has the ability to do it. And I'm saying that as someone else in the lower bracket.
Yedi is going to be facing against Drip Drop Dando, who had a really strong showing against the kid, but ultimately the kid was able to maneuver around. Drip Drop Dando, super aggressive. I think in this case where Yedi was being a little bit more conservative, it's going to be really interesting to see whether that aggression is going to pay off.
That's right. So we'll see. That's going to be a great match. Mm-hmm. I think tomorrow morning's match should be pretty good. It's going to have yours truly in it against Papaya. And that should be an excellent match. I know very little about their playing style, which is going to
You've got time to research.
Aha.
All the games are on the old internet. So.
And I certainly will do a lot of research between then and now, as all the best players do. and it'll be fascinating to see how that shapes up. Obviously, I'm hoping to win. But even if not, it'll be a very worthy player moving on to the next round. And we'll just see how it shakes out. It's going to be, I think, an excellent weekend of Imposter Kings. It already has started as an excellent weekend of Imposter Kings. And then tomorrow night, that match between Goose and the Kid, it could very easily be where that semifinals match turns into the finals match as well.
Could be, unless yours truly is powering through the lower brackets. But I was going to say, Drip Drop Dando himself is going to be joining me in the booth during Dan's match with Papaya. Of course, it's kind of one of those boxing situations where I naturally am on Dan's side, massaging his shoulders before the game, and Drip Drop Dando is huge Papaya fan, so he's going to be on the other side. So. It'll be, just kidding, we're going to be impartial.
Yeah, I would suspect that will be an impartial set. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that match.
The whole platform is on crypto, so it's going to be fair. There's going to be token. I'm just kidding.
Oh, it's great. One of the things I'm looking for is being judged by commentators. This is we get the judge here with our infinite information.
I'm going to be confounded. I'm going to be perplexed.
I highly anticipate to make at least 3 confounding plays over the course of this match.
So we're trying to get Laziness to join us here. Maybe in the meantime, we can pull in Yedi first. Let's take a quick look-see, see how maybe Yedi will go first. Let me just ask him. As the show must go on. But yeah, it's really interesting, the different lines that people can take. And I think one thing that Goose said that's really important to mention, we've already talked about how we have omniscience and we can see everything. But the thing that's also really interesting is that sometimes there's just like a set line where you can win, but the players have to weigh that probability versus everything else that they're doing, It's not just like you could have won. Trust me, you beat yourself up in the background when that's the case. You want to make sure that you can find those lines and execute on them. The other thing you have to calculate is, even if you take that line, what's the probability that they might have something that disrupts that line, and how bad does that disrupt? Like, are you going to do like a 4-point swing if that happens?
Yep.
So there's a huge risk and reward element to it that I feel like is not captured in when you're just playing basic Kings. So
that's exactly right.
So yeah, I think Laziness is trying to get on the Zoom. In the meantime, we're going to pull in Yedi. Yedi's going to join us here in Imposter Kings studios to talk to us about his plays, and we can talk about that last play.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's pull him in. Here
it goes. Zoom.
Yeah,
Zoom
we did it.
Yeti, congratulations.
He couldn't
Hello.
hear you. Now he can hear you.
Or just saying congratulations, Yeti, on a superbly played hand, an 8-0 sweep. Congratulations on a job very well done.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So tell us, Yeti, we're going to go straight to the main question, that last hand. Tell us what you were
Yes.
thinking.
Originally I was thinking 2 Mystic Sixes. I misclicked, to be honest.
You were
called
right.
it.
You were right. Because
Yeah.
when you Mystic threes, we were trying to puzzle out what the plan was, and it was Sinbu hit on the fact that might have been a misclick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it was definitely a misclick. It was in contention though, because the whole idea was like, there's a good chance he has Warlord. I don't really, if he's managing to play an Elder on my, if he manages to play an Elder on my royalty, and then gets Warlord down, I don't have anything for it. Was kind of the idea.
right.
But in the end, I still did actually have Zealot. So
Well,
I
not
don't think
anymore.
that misclick. Well, yeah, not anymore. But in that situation, I do. So it's
Mystic is very bad at identifying one subset of the culture of the court to hit. She kind of just blasts an entire section.
yeah, it
The
doesn't
peanut
matter.
gallery in that case.
Um,
So was there any thought in your mind to go into that assassin play? Flip a little bit earlier and see if you can force him to flip.
Oh, absolutely. I was gonna kind of wait it out a little bit more, and then he flipped way earlier. And my thought process behind like hiding it in the first place is like, okay, I believe that was that last game. It was like, okay, he's kind of been inquisiting for it. He's been looking for it immediately every time. He wants to go first. He has an Inquisitor most likely. So I'll hide it. Worst case scenario, when he plays Princess, because I'm going second, I'll have the extra card as the assassin to just shuffle to him if he does that. Or I can use the sentry to get it out.
Right. And well, sorry, go ahead, Dan.
No, I gotta say, I mean, the whole series was just fantastically played. You took advantage of every opportunity. You set up. I mean, what determined that third hand was the way you set up the presence or lack thereof of the assassin in your hand. Because when they missed on the Inquisitor guess, that really set up everything that happened subsequently, and that was something you set up with plays earlier in the match. Really exquisitely played through the whole thing.
Yep, and I would say, I mean, it's a really big gap to just jump up 6-0. On the second hand, you played, as some people would call greedy, to get that 6-0. Is that just something you wanted to do in order to psychologically get 6-0 fast, or was your calculus that you could guarantee a 3-point victory there?
It was kind of seeing where it was going. So early on in that hand, if I remember that hand specifically, I was expecting him to play like the battery, Judge Soldier. And so my thought process there was if he had done that, I was going to play my soldier on his judge, disgrace his Inquisitor, so he had no way to get it back. And then from that point on, Mystic was the face-up discard. I had the other Inquisitor in King's Hand, so there was no way around it for him.
Right.
Then he played Princess, and I was like, I don't know what to do with that. Did not see that one coming. This is very bright. There we go. Did not know what to do with that 100%. And so I kind of sat there. I thought about it. I was like, you know what? I've got this Elder. There's royalty on the court. It'd feel a little silly for me to play my own royalty on it to try to hope to like do something with the assassin, because my thought process was I would use the Elder as the fodder for the sentry.
Yep.
I was like, you know what? I've got a bulky hand anyways. I'll just go for it. And then it kind of presented
The opportunity.
itself.
Yeah.
Later on.
Well, I appreciate you. It's wonderful to see you again, and you'll
been
be
a while.
playing
It's
up
been a while.
against Drip Drop Dando. So hopefully, we'll see. Have you been studying any of his games? Have you?
Oh, he's the one I lost to, and he's one of those in the weeds players, which is the thing that I learned. He's because we would talk about like our hands after like we played them, and he's like, "Well, I thought this because this." I was like, "Okay, so you're not playing at the surface level. You're playing a little bit deeper. Okay, that's fine. I can play against that. I just need to know that I'm playing against that."
All right.
Uh,
I feel like
so
your brother
I'm
might be in the weeds
relatively.
sometimes too, right?
Oh,
Goose.
he's dude. Oh, he's in the sewage. He's so deep.
All right. Well, I'll leave that, but we have laziness on the other side. Is there anything you wanted to say before we see you next week potentially?
Not particularly. Thank you very much for putting on the tournament. It's always a wonderful time. Thank
It's
you for
always wonderful to
casting.
have
It's
you.
always fun to watch.
Awesome. Thank you so much. We'll catch you on the other side.
Congrats again,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Always a pleasure to have Yedi join, and this community is just one fantastic, so
What a bunch of wonderful people. What a bunch of wonderful humans. And again, I said this before, I'll say it again. Yeti very much could end up in the finals. He definitely has the skills and ability and just the insight in the game to make that happen.
that's absolutely right. And on the other side, we got Lazy over here. Hi, Laziness. You are muted if you are trying to speak, sir.
Lazy, great to meet you. Thanks for coming out.
I think you're still muted there. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm fine, thanks.
Well, welcome to the commentator booth. I know the games didn't go the way that you wanted them to. How were those hands for you?
A disclaimer that English not my native language, and play with Yedi was interesting. How and all tournament. I we discussed this Yedi about my first hands. I needed to mulligan this round and change my hand because but I pull around with this round and lost three points. And next round was very very hard.
Yeah.
I don't manage with this.
Yeah.
With that.
There were two extremely hard hands to play at the start of this match, and it's always hard when you're stepping into the tournament and you get dealt two tough hands that are weaker than your opponents and having to deal and wrestle with them. When you went into the third hand, it's so tough at the beginning. You're down because of those weak hands. How are you feeling when you're leading that off? You had to you're going to lead off with your Inquisitor. How did it feel when you missed on the Inquisitor play? And did you feel like there was any way out at that point to be able to save it?
I don't know. Just try just try it, and that not success.
Yeah. Well, so Laziness, this is your first time in the tournament bracket itself. Actually, first time playing. I have to say that's absolutely fantastic. You're able to beat a lot of people who've played this game a lot, and you made your way to the bracket. So that by itself is really great. Unfortunately, this is the first elimination, so you're not going to be proceeding with this bracket, but is there things that you picked up this tournament run that you think you're going to focus on next time you play in the future tournaments? What is like something that you want to try in the future?
I think if I have an option, I try to next tournament. What can I try to? Sorry.
It's a tough question. It wasn't easy.
Sorry. What
Wait,
question?
Yeah, we're just saying. From this tournament, is there anything you've learned that you'll use in your next tournament?
We have I have learned new rules because we play wrong our offline game. We don't understand how condemn works. We have a very powerful king's hand. Yeah.
I see.
And I think I learned a few new strategies. All tournament I try to check the assassin with Inquisitor, and try to understand, try to know how often players hide your assassin in successor.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting move, but it's not all of players use it. Yeah.
Well, Laziness, thank you so much for joining us and for explaining that. As Dan was saying, one of the benefits of the online client is the rules are kind of set. I'm glad to hear that you're playing it offline, and we're really happy to have you. Appreciate that your profile pic is the Oracle, really cool artwork, and we really do hope to see you in the future. This was really fun to watch, and even not knowing all of the rules, you're able to pick it up and make it all the way to the bracket, which is huge. So
yeah, thank you so much, Laziness. It's supremely well played. Thank you for joining the Imposter Kings community, which is a really wonderful community, and yeah, so glad to play with you in the future.
Yeah, I hope to play with you soon.
Thanks for organization.
Yep. All right.
Bye.
Take care. So wow, that
great match.
Absolutely great match. Great sportsman. He said he wasn't very good at English, but he was able to express his ideas and perfectly there. And I think, I think what's really interesting, as he said, he's playing with different rules and he's able to adapt and pick up and get into the tournament. That's, and that is really true. When you're playing with like your local group and everyone's putting away the assassin as a successor, or not putting their assassin away as a successor in this case, it does change when you play online and there's a lot more people to play with.
Well, it's absolutely right. I mean, this is true for any game where you go from kind of playing in your local group, your regional group, to on the international level, is you see all the strategies coming together. You get exposed to a lot of different strategies that you maybe wouldn't in your local team. And it's one of the great things about being able to cast is we get to see all those different strategies get deployed and how it comes out in the different flavors and the different regions of Imposter Kings.
Oh, yeah.
It's really terrific.
I have tons of questions. I got to make sure that he's got all the stuff he needs over where he is. If he's got an offline community, that's it's time to send some more boxes over there.
Playmats, now you got another region of a fandom there. And yeah, I've got to say, it is a delight. So another member of the Imposter Kings community, very appreciated. Mm-hmm. And so
there we have it.
Yeah, teeing it up. So next match would be tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
It's 9 a.m., Dan. I'm just kidding.
10 a.m. Don't get confused, folks. 10 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow, July 14th. Sunday morning here. And
10 a.m. That's Pacific time, and hopefully we can, across the world, that's usually a pretty good time. And then right at nighttime, so for all those night birds out there, that's 8:30 Pacific time is the second match of that day, and that will be the upper bracket semifinals, Goose and the Kid.
Yeah, that's a heavyweight battle, folks. That, again, might end up being a finals preview as well. You're going to see the game played at the very highest level tomorrow night. And I'm excited to watch that in much the same way as I'm excited to play tomorrow morning.
Yep. Well, anything else to say?
No, I think that's a wrap.
All right.
Sinbu, we'll see each other tomorrow morning.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining us.